Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Craig and Derek. Coffee with Craig and Derek. I can't even say that right, Craig. Still getting new to us and everything. Our morning
You
show.
need another sip. You need another sip of coffee,
I'm
I think.
telling you, brother, I need a coffee injection. I got like a triple espresso over here kind of thing going on. But yeah, we do these morning shows, and today's topic is treasure adventures or adventure treasures, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty much for anybody in the hobby or bottle hunting, prospecting, whatever you do, whatever your hobby is. The different ways you can post up what you're doing, whether it's forums, social media, podcasting. This is a realm that metal detecting and stuff like that has led Craig and I into to learn about over the past, I don't know, 10 years anyways. And trying to figure out the ropes of it all and how to do this stuff and which one's the best way to go and how not to, kind of fall for all the charges and it's become such a money oriented, I guess, business when you're dealing with like YouTube and Facebook and everything. Yeah, you can post up on there normally, and how to do that and not have to feel like you have to spend money to do this stuff extra than when you're already paying. And this is Craig and I can see this coming. It's really, and they're talking a lot about it on the news and stuff. But really, we metal detect and we bottle hunt, we treasure hunt essentially, and a lot of y'all do too. And, we post up our finds on Facebook, what we find and stuff like that, tell a little story of, where we found it, what it is and everything. And sometimes we make videos. Craig and I have done that in the past, and Craig still does it a lot. And all the ropes all the things that have changed, really. It's from a format standpoint, it's changed a lot, Craig. I mean, God, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry and stuff, and then they're turning it into more of a money thing.
They're going in. They're going into a media company, and basically, we were just talking about it. It's like cable TV, which we had for since the '90s. I remember when it first started, you didn't have a lot of channels, and it was like maybe $50 a month, and then over a 10-year period, all of a sudden you realize it's $100 a month, and
sometimes $200 a month, depending on the content.
And they go, yeah, and then they go, look at all this new content, and they go, yeah, they're a bunch of informationals,
right,
stuff that nobody even goes onto these channels to look at. I mean, you might go one time and then you go, you never go back because there's nothing to really see, that you really want. And, if you get, all these extras, it just keeps adding up to the price. And, Google, has become a media company. I don't care what they say. They're pushing news. It's not always factual. It's, for their agenda, but they're doing this now. They're getting into where they want to become a regular TV channel off the internet, and we talk about that too. They got this YouTube Premium, and I think YouTube TV, or maybe they got rid of that. I don't know, but it's a subscription service every month, and I already got YouTube, and
they've changed so much over the years, Craig. I mean, and every company changes in what they do, but I've always had a problem, excuse me, with the way that they do make their changes. Because, YouTube, we talk about them all the time because I go to them all the time. Craig goes to them all the time to see videos you guys make, or maybe we're trying to fix something at the house here or something on the computer, whatever. We go to these channels, and these are individual people making the video and putting it up there. And it used to be where you just go over and watch the video. And, I get, they have to make money. No doubt about it. But see, they're making it money off of people, monetization and this and that. And then they change the rules around, and you have to have so many subscribers and so much of this. And, before you can do that, where did the money go that people earned already? Number one, I have a big problem with that, Craig. That really, that upset me a little bit because I know you had, you only could draw out $100. You had to make $100 in order to draw money as far as monetization. You were up to $57 and pretty much kept your money and changed the rules around. And if they did it to you, and how many people make videos and how many people are monetized, that's millions of dollars. I mean, when you think about it, because they are a huge format.
Well,
and I just didn't think it was right.
When I was, I've been researching, the podcasting and everything, and getting all this new information because it's, it's a huge growing platform. It's almost like, YouTube when they started out. In the last year, they've seen this big, huge jump. It was kind of flat for a while. It was, slowly moving up and everything. But now it's just, Spotify's spending like $300 million and $500 million to, build their, platform and everything.
Right.
So that's a lot of money. And everybody's excited about this. And there's 500, on YouTube, there's 500 million channels. I didn't realize that.
Jeez, I didn't know it either until you mentioned it yesterday.
500 million channels, and it's it's gotten so where like they have this trending thing where where people they push stuff out that this is trending, and
right.
A lot of stuff is personal. You want stuff. Like I watch certain things, and these trending things don't have what I'm wanting to watch. It's
almost like they're boosting those, right? They're boosting.
Yeah,
them.
they're pushing that. Yeah, and they're selectively boosting stuff, and there's a lot of political commentators. There's comedians that do YouTube channels and stuff, but some of these guys have 5 million subscribers, and then they put. Colbert and all these late night talk show people, they don't even have anywhere near the subscribers, but YouTube puts them up ahead of everybody and they get all the views. And the other people that have been, building their channel to the point where they've gotten all these, they're getting pushed, aside because they don't want anybody to watch that. They want to watch, these celebrities. And I'm sick of celebrities. People always tell me, who's your favorite actor? And I said, I've never had one. I don't care who these people are. When I watch a movie,
it's whoever acts the best. Yeah. I have to say too, Craig, it's like, a John Wayne is one of my favorite actors. I mean, he's, of course he passed and all that stuff. But even in modern day, I mean, if you have an actor you like, that's great. But I mean, it's the part they play. I mean, it's not. They push and push and push for certain ones to get on there, and a lot of times the content is not there on those particular videos. I don't begrudge the people making, that's all of us making videos or whatever. I kind of begrudge the way that the format, the platform boosts or pushes content that maybe isn't, something that most people would watch. I mean, you have your choices. I mean, it's just like when you were talking about they're wanting to censor, like podcasts and everything else. There's already when we do a show, if you have explicit content, it tells you to check this box. And that's pretty much saying, okay, anybody under 18, it's explicit, you shouldn't be watching, or it may put up a warning or something like that. And that's why we try to keep this show as clean as possible. We slip and stuff, but essentially we're not talking crazy stuff or anything, or cursing a lot or anything like that. We're self-policing or whatever. And I know it doesn't happen across the board, but a majority of the podcast shows that I've listened to and everything, everybody tries to do their part to keep it clean so that we don't, put out content that bothers kids, or maybe, I don't know, the cussing and everything. I get it. I have kids. I don't want, wouldn't want them watching it. They're all older now, but, I just don't think that it's a platform or a format's place to pick and choose make you change your content when it's not really offending anybody to begin with. I mean, you're not. you have to.
And
It's common sense. I mean,
but if you watch a lot of these movies nowadays, there's a bunch of cursing in the movies.
Oh yeah, or the content, the innuendos, and there's some.
But I guess they, they rate it like R or something, and that gives
right.
them a cover
or mature or whatever.
Maybe they ought to do that on YouTube. Have a R-rated,
I don't know,
content. I don't know.
I think it's common sense. I mean, if you obviously, if it's somebody could watch that and tell whether it's going to be offensive or a little too mature content. But today's younger generations, man, I tell you, we live in a different society now. I mean, over the past 20 years, the internet or 30 years, whatever it's been. I mean, it's changed a lot in the way that we, the stuff we watch, the things we see, the stuff we talk about, it's changed so much.
It's still going. Nobody knows exactly where it's, going to be ending up. The frustration, with YouTube is, they got these executives that change the rules. They don't really have any. They got floating rules, and suddenly they just make up a rule and screw people, and they don't even give you, a hint about what's going on. It's just suddenly. It's like the ad apocalypse. All of a sudden, you're demonetized.
Right.
Because you say some political stuff that Google doesn't like because they're left wing. Then you get deplatformed, you get demonetized. Nobody sees your stuff. This is happening all the time, and
well, it happens in our hobby quite a bit. I mean, I've posted up videos, and they've rejected them or banned them or flagged them and there's nothing but, I didn't cuss. I didn't make any lewd comments. I was simply metal detecting, and showing the fines and whatever. And, the next thing you know, they're having a fit about it because they don't like it. Whether they're the I guess the speech police or something like that. I don't want to see it get to that point where they're doing it to everybody like that.
It's already there.
It is. It is.
I just read an article right before we did the show on this guy that is like, in charge. He's a foreigner. I don't know why they got foreigners. They seem to have all these foreigners running. Yeah. YouTube. For some reason. I don't know if I guess it gives them cover or something. Where they. You can't go after the foreign guy or something, or the foreign woman.
Well, it used to be a law, Craig, about and just a little bit of a fact there. I remember back in the 80s, and yeah, I'm old, but at any rate, back in the 80s, I remember, one of our social studies teachers or something had mentioned that, like radio stations that people from, we've changed a lot society-wise or civilization-wise, but, they couldn't own a radio station outright, a foreign country of any kind. If you were it didn't matter if you were political or not, it just wasn't allowed. And I know that they've probably changed that over the years, and they probably should have. But when you have people, I don't know where YouTube's based out of. It really doesn't matter because it goes around the world anyway.
California. Yeah. They're out there in California.
And why does this person, look at Facebook. Okay, I'm just using it as an example. All the shady stuff that happened in the past year or so with them, and information being leaked or whatever it is. Whatever they're at now. It's all smoke and mirrors to me because I don't know, Craig. I use Facebook. I like being on Facebook. My friends are on Facebook. That's great. But the political side of it, it's very annoying, and it's a whole lot of people lying and keep whatever they're doing. I don't have a horse in that race. But
it's the same thing. They become, it's become part of your life, just like YouTube. And
right.
Now they're making it, so people don't like Facebook so much anymore. It's same thing with YouTube.
It got annoying. I mean, I think a lot of people realize we did. I don't get on there half as much as I used to.
I know the purpose is to make money on these companies, but it seems like greed just ruins them in the end. The thing that happened with cable TV could happen to them down the road.
Yeah.
I think they need a competitor. I think a lot of these people need a competitor, to put some, to make, and then it would make both platforms better, if you have real competition, but Google doesn't have any, they
right.
The other thing is Facebook and Google control the ad revenue of like 80% of it,
Right.
and all these small companies like magazines and newspapers and stuff that make, basically that's all the money they make is, and you see, so many newspapers have gone under, or
Well, it's just out of the
themselves,
times. I
or,
mean, you don't buy. I mean, my mom still gets a newspaper
nobody,
every day, but I mean, I don't. I get on the internet. I mean, that's the
yeah,
world we
it's
live in.
like
Even our treasure
magazines.
magazines, like Butch Holcomb's. Shoot, no, I'm not having a brain. The magazine he puts out, Craig, tell me because my brain is just not working.
American Digger magazine.
American Digger magazine. I remember when you talked to Butch, and he said, I don't know. He goes, our subscriptions for internet are huge, and then we have still people that want a regular copy of it, but the internet part of it is a lot higher, the same price, and but it showed.
He never. I told him. I said, I like the ebook.
Yeah.
Or the e-magazine, and it's beautiful, and you don't have all this clutter, this big pile of magazines in your living room.
Right. I think the other magazines are doing the same
over
thing.
The years, you start going, oh my God, I got like a stack of about 500 pounds of magazines.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I used to stack them up in my garage. When I went to move, they all went in the trash can. I just said, I've already read all these magazines. I probably will never read them again, and, if I need the information, I can look it up on the internet or whatever.
Right. And that's good and bad, but I mean, like you said, newspapers they're not selling as many newspapers. I see the guys, like on the corner down here in Tampa and stuff when I go down to visit my mother down in Wesley Chapel. They're on Sunday mornings, they're still selling newspapers like in the median there at the red lights and stuff like that. It's almost, other than the coupons and stuff in there, most people do buy on the, internet. That's where they get their information from. They maybe have an online newspaper. I don't know how that works down there.
Well, we have like a local newspaper, and if you go to the post office, they got like this box, and you just open it up and pull out this magazine, for
right.
It's basically for this, 25, 30-mile area. Different towns are selling stuff and everything, but they give some local news in there, and they got they got these police reports, where they show everybody who it was that got arrested for what.
Oh, those, those kind of annoy me. It's getting entertainment out of somebody else's stupidity. I guess it's just natural, but yeah, I mean, I see them. We have, we still get a Sumter County Times newspaper. It's a few pages. It's nothing major, but a lot of local businesses advertise in it and stuff like that, which we get, and they do a lot of articles about like the VFW that we belong to. We put ads in there and stuff, and it's more for local people, which we have a small town like you do, Craig. So I mean, it's be like you having a local newspaper, but as far as the major, Tampa Tribune and St. Pete Times, I think they bought them out or whatever. Vice versa. They're just getting, I think it's working its way out. It's obviously been working its way, even with books. I mean, I have a lot of books. I know that like Mark Hoover, actively looks for them at shops and stuff like that. The old, books about Civil War, books about whatever. But the information we can get on the internet, if we really want to, it's more nostalgic for me. To own certain books and stuff like that, just like it is for, I guess, anybody, in the hobby.
But with this, was an avid reader. I've probably read, I don't know, at least 4,000 books over my lifetime, and
I like the pictures.
I used to spend 2 to 4 hours a day, reading. Instead of watching TV, I would sit there and read, novels and all kinds of books and stuff, but. It's gotten so where the libraries basically become computer centers now, where everybody goes in there and uses a computer,
right?
In the library, or goes there to get an internet connection, where they can surf the internet. Mm-hmm. But the books aren't so much. I mean, I remember I used to go to the library like 3 times a week. I actually had 2 library cards, one for Fairfax County, one for Alexandria, so I could, find books, you know, that maybe one library didn't have and the other one would, but, you know, it got so where, you know, I totally changed my reading after I got an iPad and stuff, you know, and started reading, you know, ebooks and just basically, you know, surfing the internet. You know, it became, my reading became the internet, you know, and surfing, you know, and looking up different topics. And
I like to turn a page, physically turn a page once in a while, you know what I mean? Like in a book, instead of having an ebook, mm-hmm. you know, I like turning the pages and stuff. But I mean, you know, with all this going on, then you're in a hobby of some kind, and you're trying to post up on Facebook, on YouTube, on a forum, on whatever, a social media kind of thing. Tell your friends, hey, look what I found or what I did, and you know, some are funny videos, whatever. It doesn't matter. But those are the individuals doing it, and they're making it harder and harder to, number one, upload. Uploading a video onto YouTube used to take, you know, a couple minutes. Now it's the last one I did, I think it was, 25 minutes or something like that, because there's so much information going in there, I'm assuming, you know, at one time. I think they said in every hour they have 24 hours or something like that of video time, you know, being uploaded or something like that. It's probably even more than that, but it's from around the world. I don't begrudge any of these guys making money. Okay, that's what it's all about. And in the end, as far as these platforms and stuff like that, I don't begrudge. I don't like the way it's kind of turning, where they're trying to censor and they're trying to force us in certain directions. I don't think they should be able to do that. I mean, you know, when you do if you're listening to a podcast and you don't like it, what do? You click to another one, or you turn it off. If they're talking about something you don't like, turn it off. You know what I mean? You know, it's not, we don't need them with their thumb on us saying, oh, you can't say that, you can't do this, you can't, you know, it's censorship. You know, it's supposed to be, you know, and this is around the world. We talk about different things affect different parts of the world. You know, maybe they're, you know, in England, it's a big deal. In the U.S., it isn't. Whatever. I mean, you bounce around and look for the best content that interests you, and you shouldn't have people.
We're kind of lucky, you know, like if you live in China, everything's censored. You're
right.
tracked now. Every moment, you know, everywhere you go is tracked, and whatever you say on social media is tracked. You get a social score actually now.
Right.
It's like Minority Report or something, you know, where everything is, you know, Big Brother is watching every single citizen, and you know, it's getting kind of like that in Europe too. You know, where you can't say certain things. You know, you know, this climate change has gotten crazy. You know,
I know.
I think it's actually getting colder, but you know, I don't see any crisis. But they've been building this crisis for 30 some years, and every year it's the worst year we've ever seen. And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing colder every year now. You know, last 5 years.
I don't doubt that we, as a human race, have definitely put our mark on the, you know, the atmosphere, everything else. But I look at all the Earth, you know, the biggest thing, volcanoes and everything else. I mean, it's spewing out more than we could ever do, and it's just the way that the climate, you know, But
I think 90% of the climate is caused by the sun. You know, right now the sun's in a minimum. You know, it's going into a minimum because of no sunspots.
Right.
It's an 11-year cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it goes into a little ice age or a big ice age, you know, depending on what happens. But the sun is in a, you know, low energy state now, you know, and it'll probably, you know, keep going for another 10 or 11 years or so, you know, who knows? But
we have enough weather reports going all the way back, Craig. I mean, I find them here, you know, they talk about 1898 or something like that, you know, a huge freeze killed off all the crops down here and everything, you know, oh my God, it's the coldest one in the century or something like that. You hear it all the time, the storm of the century, you know.
I remember, you know, 30 years ago or 20 years ago, Al Gore said, you know, your children will never see snow again. And, you know, we've been having snow, like, you know, the last 5 or 6 years here in Virginia. You know, we didn't have snow for, God, you know, if we saw a flurry, it was something, you know, and for a long time, you know, we had warm, I remember, you know, as a relic hunter and, playing tennis and being outside, most of my life, I like outdoor activities. So I've been outside a lot. I did these tennis camps where I was in the heat in the summer, so I know the weather. I've experienced it.
Right.
And it's gotten, we don't have, I remember 15 years ago, I guess it was, we had 2 days where at the camp where it was 107 and 109. And 3 days after that, we had a day where the high was 78. It was the most gorgeous day, in the middle of the summer you've ever seen.
Right.
And everybody's going, oh my God, the other day you could hardly breathe. Nobody would even,
come out of their house
after about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the day. Everybody was inside. Luckily, we had indoor courts.
Yeah.
But I'd never seen heat like that before. But now, I haven't seen a 100-degree day in I don't know 2 years.
Right.
We had 2 degrees as a low in here in Virginia, last year, and I've never seen cold like that. For many years, I remember when I'd relic hunt in the winter, I'd have maybe a sweater on or a light jacket, and a lot of times I wouldn't even have it buttoned up, because it was, it would be in the 40s and 50s in the winter.
Right.
And
well, Mother Nature has her own ideas. I mean, you're not going to fool Mother Nature. She's going to do exactly what she wants to do. And we see it. It just, the bad stuff happens. I mean, we have tornadoes, we have, hurricanes, earthquakes. I mean, they just went through that in California a couple of weeks ago. It was all the tornadoes up through the center of the U.S. and everything, Texas and all the way up through. I mean, stuff happens and there's no way to control it. I mean, you can just get the hell out of the way of it, and that's about all you can do. But, the climate itself, I mean, the pole, the North Pole, South Pole, whatever, I just think we're going through another cycle. I mean, you get these cold cycles, warm cycles, whatever, if you look back far enough, you can see, they're talking about, mini ice age and everything else. Well, I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not going to say a meteorologist. I'm not a...
I've studied this stuff for years, and
right.
And they've tried to use computers to
simulate
simulate the weather and to basically forecast it into the future. Weather is so chaotic. There's too many factors involved. It breaks the when you try to project what's going to happen 3 to 5 days in the future, it degrades. The
right.
further you go into the future, the predictions, just fall apart most of the time. You can't predict this stuff very far in the future. My dad told me, years ago, he worked with the Department of Defense, and weather is a weapon, or it can be, used as a weapon, or in warfare. Weather is it's important to be able to use the weather in your advantage.
Right.
And they used Cray computers, the biggest computers in the world back then, and tried to simulate the weather. And he said after about 4 or 5 days, it started breaking down to the point where the data was no good. You just couldn't predict that far in the future. And
I always used to joke with you, remember, and call you up and say, talk to you and say, yeah, Craig, I'm going to be the weather forecaster today. I said, it might be warm, could be hot. It might even be cold. It could rain or it could snow. I mean, it's a kind of a crapshoot. I mean, it really is. I mean, if I see anything, 40% chance of rain or 50% chance of rain, I usually don't even worry about it because it's probably not going to rain. I mean, it's just, weather is such a hard thing to predict,
One of the things I did, for many years, I'd travel, 30 to 45 minutes to an hour to get to the spot, to hunt, and, every Saturday and Sunday morning, I was, on the road, and I remember, they'd call for these forecasts, that it was going to rain or do this and that, and we go, oh, darn, and then we would go, and then it wouldn't rain. And I started thinking, I'm just going to start going on down there, and if it rains, I'll just head on back home,
Right.
And I started going out in the woods. Sometimes I'd even take a raincoat in my backpack, and if it wasn't raining too hard, I'd just stay out there all day hunting. As long as I'd take bags and put them over the detector and just start hunting,
Yeah. Well, it's like down here, Craig.
I get damp and everything, but what the heck? As long as I wasn't freezing to death or
Right.
wasn't real uncomfortable, I'd just hunt all day. But
well, you used to be able to set your clock down here by rainstorms, and it used to be between 3 and 5 every single day. I remember it all the time, and we haven't had that in a while. But it definitely climate change, obviously. But I don't think it's. It's not going to stop snowing, guys. It's going to snow. If you live up the Northeast, you know about that. But yeah, it's.
They had terrible snows up in Northeast of this year, and we had some really bad winds, and
the Northwest is the same way. When I drove truck, Craig, I mean, I was over the road truck driver. Man, we used to have hellacious snowstorms and chaining up and going over mountain passes, and we're not going to lose any snow, but we kind of got to wrap this thing up, Craig. We're already about half an hour in, so we'll probably be done today. We kind of got all over the place today with this show, but it's as far as posting up your stuff, I guess just do it in a smart way. For you, whatever works for you. I mean, you don't have to buy into a lot of this, boosting and everything else. This stuff costs money, and all you're wanting to do is share with your friends and other people that may like the hobby or whatever, through Facebook, through YouTube, through whatever. Don't get so caught up in if people like your content, they're going to go to it. That's what the beautiful thing about, YouTube and everything else. And the way we are. If we see something we like, we always pass it on the same way you guys do. See a cool video, you tell your buddy about it, he tells a buddy, whatever, word of mouth, kind of sort of through the computer. So don't get hung up on that. Don't get hung up on so much equipment where you're losing the fun of what you do as far as your metal detecting or bottle hunting or whatever hobby you're into. Don't feel like you have to have $1 million setup to do something. Make what you have work the best you can. That's it's not about the equipment, it's about the content. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on a little bit too, but we're going to get off here for now. Wanted to keep these shows about a half an hour. Thanks for listening, guys. Like and follow, and shoot, the other shows too. I mean, I know that All Metal Mode and some of the other ones are doing other shows during the week also, so if you follow these channels, follow our channels, you always get an alert when we're going live on air or when we have posted up another show, so you can download it, off archives and listen to it, while you're driving to work or whenever you have a chance to, when you want to sit down and listen to it and have a cup of coffee with us. I'm going to have another cup of coffee, Craig, so we're going to get off of here. Thanks for listening, guys. Keep digging, and God bless.